Hi everyone, and welcome to Local Notes. This is a video and podcast series dedicated to local musicians and their craft. I'm Dave Wright, and the only thing I can play is the radio. But I do enjoy listening to great music, and with a few of my friends, I spend a lot of time traveling around to hear some of our best local music. This series has two real objectives. One is to give some of the great talent an opportunity to tell their side of the story. I'm talking about the kind of stuff we don't normally get to hear about. Secondly, I'm trying to bring some attention to an area that's really hurting right now. Where would we be without all these super talented people that keep us entertained? So let's not waste any more time and get to it. Hey everyone, welcome to Local Notes, episode number 8. In this episode, we definitely meet with somebody truly special. McKoy from the band Dinnerbell Road. This was pretty cool. So I didn't know Cook prior to this. I'd seen him play. I'd listened to his music, checked out his videos. His quiet, honest, truthful demeanor comes through, and I really enjoyed talking to him. I really did. It was a crazy interview. So he's got a hell of a story. Also on this video, I've attached his full video of Yellow Footsteps. And basically this is his story. He talks about it in our interview, and it's his song. It's his story. And it's a great story. If you get a chance, you need to go out there and listen to his music. He's really trying hard to propel the band, and he's doing a great job. So he's a heck of a guy. Make sure you check him out, and I hope you enjoy the interview. Thanks, and thanks for all the support. We're all the way up to episode 8, and I've got more coming, and I'm enjoying it immensely. So, but it's not about me. It's about the music and all the local musicians. So thank you very much, and take care, everybody, and stay safe.
You will not run, you will walk fast, and you will get on all my yellow footprints. Do you understand?
Yes, sir!
Grab all of your stuff and get out right now. Scream aye, sir!
Aye, sir!
All you move fast right now. Scream aye, sir!
Aye, sir!
Walk fast and get on the yellow footprints right now.
On his 18th birthday, he's headed south on a Greyhound bus, and it's the most scared he's ever been. His destination, an old island on the Carolina shore, and he doesn't know what to expect. He ain't had it easy. Most would say he's had it rough, but he don't complain to anyone. His choice was simple: coal mining or shooting the gun, and he hopes it's one he won't regret. That Greyhound bus stops on a dime. He runs out to stand in line, and he looks down to see the yellow footprints to teach him how to stand. The yellow footprints, his first steps to being a man. The yellow footprint, where so many stood before. Yellow footprints are just what he was looking for. no stranger to working hard and doing what he's told. From what he can tell, he's fitting in. Yes sir, no sir, it's all he says, it's all they want to hear, and he don't give them nothing more. It really sounds at 4:45. He jumps out of his bunk to stand in line, just like that night on the yellow footprints, to teach him how to stand. The yellow footprint, his first steps to being a man. The yellow footprint, where so many stood before. The yellow footprints are just what he was looking for. And 13 weeks can seem so long, but it's always darkest before dawn. And he remembers that night on the yellow footprint, teach him how to stand. The yellow footprint, his first steps to being a man. The yellow footprint, where so many stood before. The yellow footprints are just what he was looking for. He was looking for.
All right.
Here we are, episode number 8, and my guest is Cook McKoy from Dinnerbell Road. How are you doing, Cook?
Good, man. How you doing, Dave?
Great, great. It was awesome to meet you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you doing this. And, you know, I love talking music, love podcasts. And I've actually watched a couple of these podcasts already. Obviously, you did my buddy Sam Stuckey. And yeah, I watched that one probably just maybe a week ago, maybe a week or two ago.
Right.
And glad you reached out because, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. It'll be fun. It's one of the main things that happens is afterwards, like the guys always come back and said, dude, that was fun. Like time passed really fast. And
Right.
you know what's going to be cool when we look back at these in like 5 years and see where we were at.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to, because we're just coming out through the COVID stuff and how different things are.
Yeah, a lot different. And musician wise, you know, playing gigs over the last year, that's been tough, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I've been lucky to do a few, and mostly just acoustic solo stuff and not a lot of band stuff, because these venues weren't really, you know, doing any of the full band stuff because the capacity issues are just being closed down. Right. But the ones that did stay open, they'll have some acoustic, you know, here and again. So that was cool. But yeah, it's starting to pick up a little bit, more. And we've been practicing as a band, you know, getting ready for hopefully some good shows this spring and summer.
Right. We'll see. And we'll get outside, and that'll help things a little bit. Hey, real quick, tell me a little bit about Dinnerbell Road, your band, who's in the band, and the kind of music that you guys do.
Sure. So we started in 2015 as just an acoustic duo, me and a good friend of mine, Bob Goodwin. We started out just doing like local acoustic stuff, just me and him. And then after we got to doing some original music and using some session musicians for the first couple songs that we did, we realized, man, this is really good stuff. So set out to put together a band. So we got the original lineup was me, Bob, James Sacciarelli, who's our drummer out of Youngstown, Ohio, Sam Stuckey, who he's out of the Butler area here, not far from me, and we had Donnie Bell on guitar. And then about a year ago, Donnie decided he wanted to go to Nashville and do the Nashville thing. So he split from the group. And then recently we picked up Zach Ravito as our guitarist, and he was in several good bands. He was Anger the Ant. He was in the Hawkeyes. He's a multi-instrumentalist as well, bass guitar, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
And he also plays with Utah and Jennifer Baker in the Noble Hops.
Huh.
So yeah, we did a gig with him. Utah put together that Southern Fried Rock show down in Freeport. Must have been a month ago now. And that was our first live gig with Zach, and he kicked ass and we sounded good. So yeah, we invited him to join the band, and now he's part of Dinnerbell Road. We're a 4-man crew now. We did have a steel player for a short time, Josh Signorini, who.
Hello, Josh.
Yeah, so we met him when we opened for Alex Williams down at the Hard Rock, and Josh came up and said, "Man, love you guys' music." He's like, "I play steel guitar," and we were like, let's try to add a steel guitar in. And then, but for him, it was a distance thing. We practiced here in Butler. He lives down, I think, south of Washington.
Right.
So, an hour and a half drive for him is just kind of a deal. And I think he's playing with Andy now.
Yes.
A lot. So, yeah. Josh is a great dude, though. I still keep in touch with him on, Facebook and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it's just, and our drummer, Satch, we got Zach, Sam, and myself.
Cool.
So that's kind of where we're at now. Mostly, we do traditional country. Mm-hmm. If you listen to our first, the EP that we put out a couple of years ago, well, maybe it's been 3 years ago now.
Okay.
It's more of a traditional country sound. We've got some fiddle in there. We've got, some, what I'll call more of a traditional country sound. Mm-hmm. And then our full-length album was more bluesy, a little bit more heavy guitar, a little bit more maybe Southern rock. Right. We wanted to play around with that a little bit. Yep. And it came out really good. And we've got about 10 to 15 new songs ready to go for our next project, which is going to be a mix, of a lot of different sounds. So pretty excited we're looking now. I've been chopping around recording studios to try to figure out a place to go down and get that done.
Awesome. That's my next project. Is I'm talking to a guy right now about doing a show on recording a song.
Oh, wow.
So maybe when you go in and do it, I'd love to do an episode on just like showing people how a song is made.
Yeah. And that's a fun process, because until we did our EP, and it's cool because now, like, if there's something you want to change, you actually really have the ability to do that at home. Like, I wanted to make some vocal changes on a lot of stuff. So I went and got a nice Rode microphone and did some insulation techniques in the room there, and just bought the software for the computer and cut the vocal track, sent it back to the mixing engineer, and he put it right in the song. And he would never know that I did that at home in the basement, as opposed to in a, $300 an hour.
Right.
So it's really cool. The technology lets you, do a lot of that stuff differently now too, and it's a little cheaper to do it. So.
Right. Awesome. Now let me ask, how did you get started in music? And this is always a really cool question. Were your parents, like, did they throw you a guitar when you were 3, or did you have to like run away and learn how to play?
No, so I got my first guitar when I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. It was a guy that I knew, and I'm left-handed. So if you were a left-handed, you'd understand the struggle that we have.
Yep.
To find decent guitars, at least used decent guitars. All the ones that I've ever had to buy, I've had to custom order. But he had a Fender Stratocaster, and a lot of times when you're overseas, you don't want to pay, to ship that stuff back to the US. So I think I paid maybe $50 for this American-made black and white Fender Stratocaster.
Wow.
And it was a left-handed one. And that was the first guitar I ever had. I was probably 20 years old, messed around with it. Obviously back then, and I say it like it's forever ago, but you know, there wasn't YouTube tutorials, there wasn't, you know, things like that. So, you know, I figured out all the basic chords on my own, and then I don't know, probably, so I had my son when I was about 24, and then I just put it away, you know, put it in the closet somewhere. And then I remember at one point things were tight financially, and I had to take it to a pawn shop and get rid of it. And, you know, so many years went by before I actually played again. But I made friends with Bob, who I told you we had the acoustic duo with, and he plays guitar. And, you know, going to camp with him and stuff, fishing and stuff like that, and hanging out at his house, I was like, man, I'd like to start playing guitar again. So I went out and I got a new acoustic guitar, got back on it, started playing like open mics, you know, with him and going out and just having a good time with it. And then started writing original music and ended up, it sounds pretty damn good. So kept with it. But that's kind of my story in a nutshell, you know?
Right. Now, how old were you when you came back into it, when you picked it up and started going back out?
Dude, I was in my mid 30s, probably like 34 years old, you know, before I really started paying attention, because the guitar, as you know, is so much more than just chords.
Right.
You know, if you start getting into the theory and just trying to figure out how to work up and down the neck, it's a whole nother ballgame.
Right.
So that's been, you know, and like you said, you play the guitar a couple hours a day nonstop for the last 6 months. That was me, you know, 5-6 years ago.
Right.
You know, trying to almost play catch up. You know what I mean? And I always listen to this guy on YouTube named Marty Schwartz.
I know Marty
Schwartz. Yeah, he was my go-to guy to learn how to play guitar and licks, a lot of blue hit, you know, and he's just really good at explaining it and taking the time. And if you're patient, you know, there's a lot of good information on YouTube, you know, to learn how to play guitar, you know, and that's kind of how I learned, you know, just watching YouTube videos.
Right.
So, and here we are now, and I'm no Eddie Van Halen or anything like that, but, you know, I keep rhythm pretty good. I can do some licks here and there, but I'm no Charlie Starr, you know.
Well, you got a great voice. And,
thank you.
And you play guitar, you know, very well.
Good enough to get by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No
because
problem.
I remember a time when first started out, I couldn't play and sing at the same time. You know, I'd find myself stopping to sing, and then maybe when the chorus came in, I could strum a couple chords. But yeah, thinking about that now, going back, it's pretty funny. But
I get caught up on, like, I have preferred strum patterns, and if it's anything outside of what I'm used to, trying to sing and strum, forget it. I have a hard time, struggle. So yeah, I
was in that boat. And even now, sometimes, I mean, when you're doing a 3-hour acoustic set, you do your best to try to memorize as much as you can chords, and some of the songs you just know because you played them so over and over.
Right.
But a lot of times you'll just have a brain fart. Oh man. And I've even done that with my own music. You know, I have this song called Mr. Nashville Man, which is one of my favorites.
I just listened to it.
Did you? Yeah. I love that song, but I always forget the second verse. I always forget how the second verse starts. So if you see me before a show with the band, I'll be in a hallway somewhere going over that song in my head over and over. So I get it.
Right.
Yeah, it's just funny how that works, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun to be able to put 2 and 2 together and make music.
Yep, absolutely. I'm enjoying it. Now, I don't have any goals of ever playing for anybody other than myself. But when I go to some of these festivals and stuff, you know, last year I had 20 musicians sitting outside of my camper, and we were playing around the circle. And dude, that was just so much fun.
That's so much fun. That's probably more fun to me than even just playing for an audience, just sitting around a campfire and just
talking and banging stuff out and learning it.
Like, hey, do you know this one? And you start
Yeah.
playing, and oh yeah, you got 4 guitars going. Maybe somebody's got a mandolin.
Yeah.
That's fun stuff.
For sure. Absolutely. Now swinging back a little bit to the COVID, did you get through the whole COVID? Have you got it yet, or have you been?
Yeah. So me and my girlfriend got it. I mean, right after Thanksgiving, and it was no joke. And obviously, we were worried about the baby, but she never had any signs or symptoms. So she ended up getting it. You know, it wasn't anything that bothered her. And they say it doesn't affect, you know, infants and children the same way it does grown-ups. But yeah, 3 or 4 days of just fever and aches and you know, just feeling really bad. And then even with the taste and the smell thing, you know, that was, I don't know, it was probably a month before I, you know, could really taste my food again. Right. Weird. But
I'm glad.
And then you were saying that you had it recently, you know.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I was really laid out for 2 solid weeks. But once I started getting better, I got better quick.
Okay.
So I mean, I still have a little bit of the cough, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. And I had a lingering cough too for a while after that too, and I remember. But it's no joke, man. It really isn't. You got to try to stay safe and just hopefully all this stuff. You know, the vaccines and just people being immune to it after having it. Hopefully, you know, I don't know all the details on it, but it's no joke. It wasn't fun.
So you had basically 2020. Your schedule's been slower. Have you done any writing? I guess you said you've got some new songs ready to come out.
Yeah, so we were playing around with this one song right before Donnie left the group called Walk the Line. And it's about getting pulled over and getting a DUI and all this. And it's a really cool song. Not that you would ever want that to happen, but it happens. And I really like the riff in that song. So we're going to get back on that one. And I think somewhere on YouTube, I think maybe, I don't remember, maybe when we played at Pullman Park in Butler for the, we did a show to benefit the police and firefighters. And I think we played it first out of the gate at that show. If you can find that clip, you'll love that song because it's super like Blackberry Smokish, you know, type of heavy on guitar. So I think that'll be the next one we record, you know, and I've been playing with this idea too with recording. I mean, why even wait to do a whole album? Just with Spotify and iTunes and Apple and the way all that stuff works now, why do an album? Just do a song, put the song out, record it, and put it out on the internet, you know, because people are going to stream what they want to stream. You know, it's not like back in the old days where you'd buy a record or a CD, you paid for all the songs, so you're going to listen to them all. But the way everything is structured now, I think it almost makes more sense just to go record a song, mix it, master it, put it out there, and let people enjoy it, and then start on the next one.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of people that I follow are starting to do that. You know, just put out singles like once a month, put a single out. So I think we might follow that model. Obviously, it'll be a lot cheaper, you know, than paying all that upfront money to get a whole record and schedule the time in the studio. And then it's really hard with 4 people, as busy as Sam is, you know, with his side projects and his solo stuff, you know, to find the time, you know, to get everybody in a room. And because I think that Rust Belt Revival album that we did that in a day. You know, we did that in one day. And it turned out pretty good. So
it came out nice.
Yeah,
it got like 10 songs, right?
Yeah. And that was a busy day, but it was fun too, because I was, you know, just learning how everything gets tweaked. And a lot of those songs were one take. You know, we might come back in and add a little guitar here and there, or Sam might hear something with the bass that he wanted to fix. But as far as like the drum work, Satch nailed that stuff for every song. It wasn't much on his we had to tweak. So yeah, it came out really good.
How do you write? Do you like lock yourself in a room, or does it just come to you going down the road, or is there any Is there any rules?
For me, there's no rules. I keep a little notepad on my phone.
Okay.
Like a note, there's a note app on there. And I'll think of something. It's usually like a title. And then I'll go in and I'll put that there. And then it may be a week or two before I come back to it. And I might do a verse. And then I'll usually do the verses and then the chorus is next. And then if I want to put a bridge in, I'll, put a bridge in it. But that's kind of my process. It's not like if I sat down here right now with a piece of paper and tried to write a song, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
It would have to be some kind of spark,
Right.
some kind of stimuli in my environment to make me say, oh crap, that would be a great song. So I'll give you an example. There's a song on our album called Warmed Up and Downhill.
Okay.
Right? And if you listen to the album, you heard it, but that song, me and Bob were mountain biking, and we were on the Buffalo Freeport Trail. And when you leave from Butler, it's uphill, right? All the way, probably a good 5, 6, 8 miles till you get to Cabot.
Mm-hmm.
Then it starts flattening out. And then as you go towards Freeport, it goes down. Well, at the time, our boys were practicing lacrosse in the field. So we grabbed our bikes and we wanted to go for a ride while they were practicing. So we started uphill, and I think Bob goes, well, we were getting ready to turn around. He goes, man, we just got warmed up and we're getting ready to go back downhill. And I was like, we kind of looked at each other like, that's a cool title for a song. So sat down with that and wrote that song out, and that turned out to be a pretty cool song.
Huh.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have a song called I Don't Need No App for That.
Yep, I just listened to that one too.
Yeah. And that's just, you go anywhere and you sit and you watch people, you'll even see married couples sitting there just on their phone, and it's like they're not even talking to each other. It's kind of sad, but if you watch the younger kids, they're even worse. I don't even know how a lot of these kids that are in high school now function when they get into a public setting, because everything's online for them. But yeah, that song was kind of, just an observation, of people being on their phones and stuff. But yeah, but that's kind of my process. It just comes to me. And a lot of this stuff is like Yellow Footprints. That song, I lived that song.
Really?
Yeah, that song 100% is my story from when, I was a young kid and then joined the Marines and what happened there and all that. So that's 100% autobiographical.
Right.
And that turned out that's probably one of our most popular songs.
If you go to Apple Music and say play Dinnerbell Road's best songs, that's the first song it plays.
Oh, does it?
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know that's
my
like
first experience.
that's our most streamed song,
Mhm.
and it always gets a lot of play around Veterans Day and Memorial Day, stuff like that.
Right.
And there's a lot of ex-Marines out there and I'll put it on like all the pages, like the Marine Corps pages on Facebook, Instagram, and everybody kind of goes and listens to it and gets good feedback on it. So
awesome.
Yeah, that was a cool song.
Awesome. So Rust Belt Revival, you said it took you one day to
record that.
That's an amazing thing. And I kind of agree with you. I like the thought of, doing a song a month or something. I think that's a great. So you said you've got probably 18 songs just kind of sitting in the corner.
Sitting in the queue. And some of them are slower. Some are like that one I was telling you about, Walk That Line.
Mm-hmm.
That's an upbeat song. And anytime, with the original thought process of, let's do another album, you want a good mix of songs in there. But then, just talking about recording singles and getting them out there, I don't know that we have to follow that model. So I think when we get back in the garage here probably next weekend with the fellas, we'll just start going through them and saying, okay, what are the top 5 songs out of this group of songs, and then put them down and record them.
Right.
What happens?
Right. Is this what you do for a living, or do you have a day job?
Yeah, I have a day job. I work for the telephone company. I've been there for about 20 years.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
gotta be a good job.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, it's a good job. You know, I have no complaints with that.
right,
And then
right,
the music stuff has just all been side,
yep,
supplemental type stuff. But
right. Absolutely. And you do most of your practicing and playing out of your garage?
yeah, a buddy of mine lets us use his. He has a big garage down by the Butler Airport, and he lets us use that on the weekends to practice. And
Okay.
yeah, sometimes folks will come out and listen to us practice. He'll build a bonfire out there, and
Oh, that's
it's
fun.
pretty fun. Yeah,
Let me know. I'm there.
yeah, that's a fun time. Um, but yeah, that's normally our deal. We'll put in, 3-4 hours a week. And then sometimes, like today, we were gonna practice, and then Sam had something going on. He texted me, he said, "I can't make the practice." But
Right.
the cool thing about when you're together for so long, you don't have to practice as much, especially your existing songs. Um, but yeah, it's been fun, and just being able to play music is as you're, learning as you play the
Mhm.
guitar more and more. I don't know, it's fulfilling, it's just really fulfilling,
Right.
and there's a lot of good local music, which is why I'm glad you're kind of taking the time to shine a little bit of a spotlight on it.
Thanks.
um the Western Pennsylvania region has a ton of good music.
Do. Yep.
um I mean, it's no Nashville, and I wish there were more venues, for people to go play.
Hmm.
Most of the stuff actually in Pittsburgh itself is, chain type stuff,
Yep.
where it's harder to get a foot in the door. But
Yep.
you just gotta do what you love. And the other thing is, don't take it too seriously,
Yeah.
because you'll be disappointed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you're right. There's so many choices. So let's say it's Saturday night. You don't have a gig. You and the lady are going out. Who are you going to go see?
So I always try to go to Sam's solo shows.
Okay.
I like to go, um, because not a lot of people are doing bluegrass. He does a lot of bluegrass. He does a lot of old stuff, and he does a lot of gospel, which I like.
Hmm.
He'll sing some gospel songs in there, and that's what I grew up on. That's what I like. Um, and then the Shiners, if the Shiners are playing, and they have, because of Rob's accident, they haven't been playing a lot, but um, if the Shiners are playing, I'll try to go see them.
Right.
Um, and it just depends, you know what I mean? Like, there's several breweries around here that have, live music.
Yep.
Union Brothers is becoming one of my favorites. Recon Brewing, they have good music up there.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I like to just go hear music.
Right.
There's somebody playing, I'll go check them out.
Cool. Me too. That's the same thing. I'm not prejudiced. I listen to it all, and
Yeah.
even if it's not a genre that I'm particularly fond of, I mean,
Mhm.
talent's talent, and
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, like
So,
even some of these like 80s cover bands, like they put a lot of time into
yep.
um perfecting that. And I always say it's not as hard to play a cover song as it is your own stuff. You know, that stuff's already written for you. It's there's a million videos of how to play, Poison song,
Right.
or an AC/DC song. And AC/DC songs are probably the easiest songs in the world to play.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, but still, like they put the work in, and if they're playing out, I'll go check them out. And my girlfriend loves 80s cover bands, so she wants to go.
I grew up in the 80s. I'm all about it.
Yeah, right. And it's good to hear a lot of those songs too, because
Yeah.
they don't, Lord knows they don't get radio play.
Right.
All of that stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, Poison, Motley Crue, that's
Yeah.
in my wheelhouse too. I love playing some of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can play Every Rose Has a Thorn, like that, and it's an easy
Yeah.
song. It's fun.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Do you detune when you play that? Do you drop?
No. I
Okay.
just
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a pain in the butt to drop, but it does sound better when you drop it down.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds a lot better.
Huh.
You'll see. Yeah. Especially if you try to sing it too. Like Brett Michaels, when he sang it, he kind of sang it in a deeper voice than he would sing his other stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of those 80s ballads are tuned down half a step,
Mhm.
to like a lot of the Warrant songs,
Right.
Heaven and, those ballads and White Snake.
Yeah.
They were all detuned. So, but yeah, but it sounds good in regular
Yep.
tuning too. Don't get me wrong, because I play Every Rose Has Its Thorn sometimes, and I don't mess with the tuning. It's just a
Right.
pain in the butt. Or you got to try to bring another guitar that's already you swap guitar. It's
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know. I mean, I know, I know just from looking at the chords that, tuning is a thing and you can tune it for different songs, but I've never tuned a guitar specifically for
yeah.
a song ever.
Yeah, a lot of people. So I used to bring two guitars, and I'd have one tuned for open E to do the Black Crows, She Talks to Angels.
Uh-huh.
But it's such a pain in the butt to either tune, because people will request it too because they know I sing it.
It's such a good
Um,
song.
it's a great song,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the intro to that song is, still to this day one of my favorites.
Right.
But yeah, but now I'll bring one guitar. I'll bring extra strings just in case I break one. But plugging
Right.
2 or 3 guitars, it's not like I'm, professional guy out there where I got
Yeah.
people bringing me guitars that are already tuned and ready to go. I mean, if I ever got to that point, hey, I'm doing pretty good. But
Right. Right.
yeah,
Huh. So where do you see the band going? I mean, how long is it something that you'd like to see that you could eventually quit your job? Or, is it just a fun thing to do on the side?
it's a fun thing to do on the side.
Uh-huh.
I think if you want to make it in the music business, you have to relocate. I think you have to go to Nashville. I think, and I don't even know that Nashville is the place anymore. To me, all the good music is coming out of Texas now. The
Yeah.
music that I like, the Nashville music, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. I'm not gonna name names and all this stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't like the music that's coming out of Nashville. I haven't for probably 10 years.
Yep.
If I listen to music, it's gonna be, bands out of Texas, Whiskey Myers, Cody Jinks, Jason Boland and the Stragglers, that kind of stuff. Stony LaRue, Coe Wetzel,
Right.
that's the stuff that I like. Um, the Nashville stuff, it's pretty rare that anybody Nashville based now catches my ear.
Right.
It's pretty rare.
I agree. When I heard you play I Cast No Stones, I knew we were going to be friends.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
one of my top 5 songs. It
yeah. I
really
love
is.
that song.
I do
I
too.
love that song. And
Yeah.
he
Truth and
has a
Words,
song
man.
called Somewhere in the Middle, which is
Mhm.
probably my second favorite song of his. And then the one that Ward Davis wrote called I'm Not the Devil,
Yep.
that's a really good song as well.
Yep. Absolutely. So those are that's my wheelhouse. And you're right. It's all coming out of Texas right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And one of my favorite bands, over the last couple of years has been the Steel Woods. And
oh,
they kick ass, but their guitar player just died unexpectedly.
oh,
Um, yeah, his name was Rowdy Cope, Jason Cope, and he was an excellent guitar player. But yeah, he passed away, and they're gonna try to give it a go with another guitar player because they had a lot of dates scheduled for 21. But if
right.
you haven't heard the Steel Woods, check them out.
Have not. I'm a big fan of the Steel Drivers, especially if you go back to when
Yeah,
Chris Stapleton was there.
yeah, yeah. When Chris was there,
And Steel Blossoms. I like the Steel Blossoms. I don't know if
yeah,
you're familiar with them. Yep.
yep.
So, but Steel Drivers, or what were they called? Steel Woods?
The Steel Woods, yeah,
Steel Woods. I'm gonna
yeah.
write it
Really
down.
good music. More along the lines of what we do, kind of more guitar-driven type music.
Mhm.
But they have a few, traditional country songs out there as well.
Right, right.
But yeah, they're really good if you ever get the chance. They usually come through Pittsburgh once or twice a year, down
Cool.
like Stage AE. I
Mhm.
saw them open a couple of years ago for Cody Jinks, and that was a real good show.
Right. Are you a big fan of John Prine?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you?
Yeah, John was, you had to be in the mood. For me, I had to be in that mood to
Right,
listen to John Prine,
right.
but I love John Prine. Um, that was a sad time when he passed away.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the first song I heard of his was the duet, and I don't even remember the lady's name that he did the duet with.
Iris DeMent.
Iris DeMent, yeah. And I remember being a little kid and hearing that in my grandma's kitchen on a Sunday morning when she was cooking Sunday dinner. You know what I mean? And it just brings back good memories, you know.
Yep.
Just awesome memories, and that's why I still to this day like listen to a lot of old Johnny Cash, a lot of George Jones, George and Tammy.
Yep.
You know, I just for Valentine's Day, my girlfriend found the president and the first lady on vinyl for me, George and Tammy Wynette, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I harken back to the old days. You know, well for me that would be like the 70s. So,
Yeah.
I listen to Merle Haggard a lot and try to just draw inspiration because those guys were such good storytellers.
Right.
And I think a song has to have a story. If it doesn't have a story, it's crap, you know.
Yep. Yep. I agree. Well, otherwise, why bother?
Yeah, why bother?
Yep.
You know, Townes Van Zandt, like that kind of stuff, you know.
Incredible.
Really just amazing. And I've never been a Bob Dylan fan, but his songs, you know, good stories. And I hate Neil Young, but his songs tell stories. And I despise him.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just don't like him.
He's just got an annoying voice. I kind of.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Off here, but
you know, and everybody's like James Taylor. I don't like James Taylor that much. I mean, you know, if Fire and Rain comes on the radio, I'll listen to it, but I don't get, you know, I don't know.
I never thought Glenn Campbell got enough credit as a guitar player.
Glenn Campbell was awesome. Did you ever watch the Netflix documentary on Glenn Campbell?
I did.
Now, to me, that's amazing. I mean, he had an amazing career and an amazing family, but the fact that this guy had dementia at such a level, but his guitar playing never faltered. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, he can stare his own family dead in the eyes and not remember who these people are, not remember what he was going to do from 1 minute to the next, but still remember every note, every lick of every song he ever wrote.
Incredible.
Like, I think even the doctor was like, I don't understand this. You know, how is that possible? And I thought that was really cool. You know, I thought that was really cool.
Sam Stuckey is the only person I've ever seen that covers Glenn Campbell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you go out and listen, nobody will play it. And if you ask them to, they don't know it. They don't know the guitar.
I do a hell of a version of Wichita Lineman. If you ever
do you really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I like doing Glenn. But see, that's the trouble that you get into because, like I said again, with the covers, like I'll sit there and I'll do Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, I'll do George Jones, I do a few George Jones songs. But people like these younger people don't. Not only do they not know who those people are, but they don't appreciate it.
Right.
And I'm looking back and I'm like, I'm singing Mama Tried, and I'm like, how are you not tapping your foot? You know, how are you not singing this chorus with me? You know, but it's the way it is. And then they'll come up and they'll put $5 in the tip jar and say, hey, can you do Florida Georgia Line? And I'll say, take that $5 the fuck back out of that tip jar, put it back in your pocket. I'm not ever doing that.
Yeah.
But it, you know, that's the struggle. You know, that's the struggle, because then you can get labeled as, oh, he doesn't play good music. Oh, okay.
Well, I have a pretty good friend. I don't know if you know him. His name is Craig Curtis, and he's down in Nashville.
Okay.
And he comes up to Pittsburgh a couple times a year and played. And some friend of mine.
I think somebody told me. I think my buddy Scott told me about him.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
He put out an album back in 2005, 2006. And I mean, I'll share the album with you. It was a good album. And, but it didn't catch, it didn't go. And the thing is, like, he was playing all up and down Broadway, and they wanted him to go into Tootsie's and play new country. And he just he wasn't having it.
Yeah.
You know, it just wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
And you know, he felt a lot about it like the same way you do. And he took the road he took based on his beliefs instead of selling out, you know?
Yeah. And I had a lot of like Tin Roof, Tootsie's, Even John Rich's new place that he built down there on Broadway, Alan Jackson's place. You send them your music and they're like, this is really good. It's just not what we do here, you know. And I've had countless emails come back to me saying it's good music, but you know, it's just not really what we do here, you know. And it's mind-boggling to me that you wouldn't want like a Jason Eady playing on Broadway, you know. But that dude still to this, and he's an excellent songwriter, excellent vocalist,
phenomenal.
You know, he just can't, you know, go mainstream. Cody Jinks is the exception to the rule, being that he did it all on his own, you know, and he, I think, just signed with the record label recently for his last couple albums that he put out. But he didn't have to.
Right.
You know, he didn't have to. He had a big enough following where he didn't have to do that. And even still then broke through on radio a little bit. You don't hear him near as much as you should.
Right.
You know, he should be a household name for a country music fan right now. But instead they're playing Sam Hunt and Kane Brown and all this other crap, you know.
Yeah.
But it's sad. Hopefully the pendulum swings back around. You know, I think it will. Even like Florida Georgia Line, I don't hear them as much on the radio. Of course, I don't listen, like I'll listen to WBUT out of Butler, you know, and they play a lot, especially in the mornings. They'll play mostly old stuff.
Right.
You know, yeah. The old YP. But they just went on FM recently. They were AM up until maybe a couple of months ago, and now they're on FM. And my dial rarely leaves, you know, that station. But every once in a while too, they'll play some Sam Hunt and all that. They don't, but they have to, you know, if they want to keep their viewing up. You know,
you're right. I mean, music has to progress, and you know, maybe it's going to split or something. I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
it's going to go, but
yeah, I think something has to give, because at this point now you're handing out awards to people who don't even make country music,
right?
You know, real country music, I'll say.
Yeah.
And who am I to say what's what too? You know, I'm nobody. I'm sitting in a basement right now talking to you. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm just telling you my opinion on the whole deal.
Yep.
But I think it'll come back around. You know, you got bands like, you know, Whiskey Myers selling places out when they come through, and I think they actually opened for the Rolling Stones, if I'm not mistaken, when the Rolling Stones played in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
I think they picked Whiskey Myers to open, which was a huge deal because Whiskey Myers was a relatively unknown band, but their music's phenomenal. Every one of their albums is kick-ass. It's completely kick-ass.
I mean, I have to admit, when I went to your show, I heard you talk about, what was the name? Something Smoke? Raspberry Smoke?
Blackberry Smoke?
Blackberry Smoke. I had never heard of them. I heard you play the song, came home and looked up, and I just found out, here's me fairly versed in music, and I never heard of these guys.
Oh, yeah. Blackberry Smoke is probably my favorite band for the last probably 10 years.
Really?
Yeah. So much so is that the first song I heard of theirs was called Good One Coming On, which is the one that I play sometimes. The music video for that is filmed in Nashville, and they're in this little breakfast joint called the Hermitage Cafe. And the first time I went to Nashville, I was with my friend Bob. I said, we have to go to the Hermitage Cafe just because Blackberry Smoke filmed a video there.
Right.
And we went there, and wouldn't you know it, the same waitress that was in that video still worked there. And we asked her about it. She was like, oh yeah, that was a good time and all this. And we actually saw Blackberry Smoke that night with ZZ Top at that new outdoor amphitheater they built down there in Nashville, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad you like them because, well, they were just here in Butler too last summer at the drive-in. You know, awesome show.
Oh, I mean, I love music. That's all I do. That's my thing. Yeah. Even at work, you know, I'm in sales, but I have the radio on or I'm playing my phone. There's just music all the time. It's a big part.
Yeah.
A lot of my customers and stuff go to shows and to venues and things.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Everybody has, that's the one thing I think everybody has in common is music.
Yeah.
And if you're a musician, it's even one layer on top of that, you know.
Yep. So, real quick, I know we were talking about the bands that you like and stuff like that, and you mentioned earlier Rob from the Shiners was a pretty big influence on you. Who else?
Yeah.
Who else was a big impression on you that kind of formed your direction?
So I would say musically, Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
Just his demeanor, the demeanor part of it, you know, like when I do music, whether with the band or when I'm doing my acoustic shows, it's like a no frills deal. I sit down, grab a guitar, you know, sing songs. I'll do certain things to try to pump up the crowd, you know, and do it and stuff like that. But for the most part, you know, I try to stay even keel. You know what I mean? Um, and not to mention Johnny Cash, um, like his gospel stuff, the stuff that he did on his Unearthed box set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of those old Baptist hymns. You know, it's I don't know why. I think maybe because I grew up going to Sunday school and going to church twice a week. You know, just hearing him sing those songs that I sang in a church pew as a young boy, it's pretty cool.
Huh. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Merle Haggard. Yeah, yeah. Merle Haggard definitely. George Jones. I think vocally, I think George Jones is the best vocalist that has ever lived.
Yeah.
Vocally,
Yeah.
you know, Chris Stapleton does amazing things with his voice, but I've never thought of him in the same category of George Jones. So my top three: George Jones, Chris Stapleton, and Travis Tritt are the three, and well, top four, Randy Travis. So those are my top four.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously Chris Stapleton's newer on the scene, but man, his voice is just amazing. You know, it's amazing. His music is not complicated. It's very simple music to play, to listen to. And it's just pure music, and I love it. You know, I love his music.
Have you heard his album?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
got a song on there called Maggie
yeah,
about a dog he found in a grocery cart at a grocery store.
yeah,
To me, that's a freaking amazing song.
yeah. That's a great song.
And I love that song.
You're hard pressed to find a bad song from him.
Right.
You know, even when he was with the Steel Drivers,
Mhm.
you know, that's good music. A little bit different, you know, more blues, but you know, just vocally, it's amazing. Like the first time I heard "Fire Away,"
Uh-huh.
just that when he does that fire, and it just carries. Like he doesn't, like his lungs don't exert oxygen. It's just he's like a fish, you know. When I try to do that, I have to stop and take a breath in the middle, refill my lungs. It's just amazing how he can carry a note. So yeah, big fan of his. And
Going
God bless him.
to Chris Stapleton, me and Andy Gregg are driving to Nashville to spend some time down in Nashville. So on the way down, you know, we're like fooling each other with music and check this out and all that. And he pulled out a Steel Driver song called Sticks That Made Thunder. And
Okay.
it's by Chris Stapleton. And it's about the Battle of Gettysburg from the view of a tree.
Oh wow.
It's freaking amazing. You
Yeah.
gotta check it out. Have you ever heard You'll Never Leave Harlan Alive?
Yeah, I have heard that one.
It's like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can picture like this tree sitting in the middle of the battlefield and the armies coming over the hill, and check it out. Sticks That Made Thunder. It's a great.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, if I've heard it, I don't recall it, but yeah, it sounds like something right up my alley.
Definitely. It's definitely a cool song. But I'll never forget. I mean, he kind of won the deal because we were trying to impress each other, and I that was a badass song.
Yeah, that's a great song. That's a great song.
So
great band. They were a great band, you know.
Yep.
But the stuff that he's doing now is just it's phenomenal music too, and it's basic, and that's what I like about it is just its roots, you know.
Well, you know, he's pretty popular, but he hasn't walked away from where he's from. He hasn't turned his back You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
The
that's
cool
the,
thing about him, I've seen him a couple of times live, and there's no flashing lights. There's no, he's not running around,
right.
and his wife's up there with them, and they're just looking at each other like they just met and fell in love this morning. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
I saw him open for Hank Williams Jr. and talk about night and day. Chris came on and did his 15 songs, and then here comes Hank on a Harley and shit's blowing up, and that was fun. But yeah, I like the simple stuff. I don't like overly complicated music. I mean, some of it I do, but some of it I'd rather just stick to the simple stuff.
There you go.
And that's how I write.
So people that are looking for you, I mean, obviously, I'm telling you right now, you could find all of Dinnerbell Road's music on Apple Music. I'm sure it's on Spotify.
Yep.
You have a website?
Yeah, dinnerbellroad.com.
And
I may need to update that. It probably hasn't been updated in a while. So I probably need to go update that. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all that good stuff. The only thing that I haven't been able to get our music on is Pandora. And for some odd reason, Pandora, if you're not a top Billboard top 100 music group, they don't like to let you in the gates. So I haven't had any success getting on Pandora, but everything else we're on there.
and I want to say thing else. First of all, as an American, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it. I mean,
yeah,
people take the time, and it's an amazing thing. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoyed it. So,
did you really?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I mean, when you come from the kind of background that I did, and if you listen to Yellow Footprints, that was literally my option: go to the coal mines or do something else.
Right.
And I chose to do something else because I did, seeing my dad come home ragged every day with coal dust buried into his skin, I didn't really want to do that. So yeah, joined the Marines and left on my 18th birthday, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Well,
I'm thankful for you guys.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely welcome because I had a blast doing it.
Great. And I want to thank you for taking the time. And if there's, is there anything else you wanted to throw out there before we take off?
No, just if your listeners are interested in this, just go and stream our music. That's one of the biggest things that helps us out. It's not that we get paid. I think we get like 1/16 of a penny every time a song is streamed or something like that. It's nothing, but just helping to get our name out there and spread the word and like us on Facebook and share it with your friends and that type of deal. Because I might be biased a little bit, but I think the music is pretty good. I think people will enjoy listening to it. So
I think it's fantastic. It's been
Thank
awesome
you.
having you on the show.
Thank you.
I can't wait to get out and hear you some more, and I bet you we're going to end up being friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got a couple. So we're doing. I'll be back at JB's doing an acoustic solo. I think it's March 27th.
That's JB's Roadhouse, right?
Yeah, JB's Roadhouse.
Yep.
And then I'm supposed to be playing sometime in March at the Tequila Cowboy down in Pittsburgh, doing an acoustic show down there. I don't have the date confirmed on that yet. I just talked to the guy on Friday.
Okay.
We're doing a full band at the Lindora Hotel, April 24th. And then the only other thing I think we have scheduled within the next couple months is we're doing a full band at JB's Roadhouse out in the Pavilion, I believe that's May 21st, but I'll have to check.
Gotcha.
So,
Cook, it's been a pleasure, man.
You too, Dave. I appreciate you doing this, man, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk music.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Take care. I'm gonna cut her off now.
All right.